On Face to Face today, we're talking about the agriculture sector, the food that you eat on your dining table. Where does it come from, and what appears to be the challenge we are hearing about the value chain that brings the food to your table? We talked to the minister responsible for the food and agricultural sector to ask if there is any cause for alarm at all. My name is Umaru Sandamadu, and you're welcome to Face to Face. My guest on Face to Face today is a member of parliament representing the people of Abetifi in the eastern region, but he also has a national role. He's been called to be the Minister for Agriculture by the President, and he's been playing that role for a little over a year now. Do you know Bryan Acheampong? You're welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you, man.
Is it a year already, or is
it? I think I was appointed sworn in April 4th.
2023.
That's correct.
Also, you've just done 1 year, or you are done with your honeymoon. So it's okay, we can throw all the things at you. How has it been at the ministry?
Very well. I had no honeymoon, by the way.
I think you came at a time when your ministry was bringing foodstuffs to the forecourt for people to come and buy. Is that thing still happening? What is the status report on that as we dovetail into the main conversation?
Well, thank you. When I came, that had long stopped.
Oh, okay.
But it's something that the ministry had at one point in time engaged in.
Okay, so it's no more happening here.
That's correct.
And the reason is that what? In the past, it was because they said there was food in the hinterland, but bringing it was a problem. So there was a governmental intervention to bring it.
That's correct. The distribution margin on the products from the farm, for example, you buy a bag of maize in Afram Plains for 150 Ghana cedis, and then it ends up in Accra for 500 Ghana cedis per 50 kg bag. And then when you probe, you find out that it is the distribution margin, which is the market kings and queens that are transporting the goods, the cost of fuel and all those things that were causing the prices to go up. So government then decided that it will cut the goods from the farm gate to the consumer point to break that distribution margin to bring the prices of the food down.
I know in history we had something called control pricing, and I think this was AFRC, PNDC era. It was not a very popular policy, but recently we've seen something in not your sector, but your other ministry, the one in charge of trade, where the minister was looking more at regulating pricing of cement. It has met a lot of opposition. Pricing is a big issue. Do you think we should start having a pricing policy for produce from the marketplace? Is that something that could work, or we cannot regulate that market?
I'm a market person. I always believe that the market should determine the price, and so except when clearly there's an abuse of the process because of some level of monopoly, then you will really want a government engagement with the sector that is causing that distortion. Other than that, I think the free market should be allowed to operate.
And has the free market helped us? Because you mentioned market queens and market kings. These people, I don't know how much they pay for transportation, but sometimes the price difference from the farm gate and the market is huge. Is that justified?
Well, I don't really want to comment on that or as it were, accuse them of anything, because we are engaging them.
Okay.
We have an understanding. So far, it's working well.
Okay.
You know, so I really want to leave it.
Very well.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about what's happening up north. Reports are suggesting there's a drought, there may be famine. We may see 1982, 1983 back on. What is the picture? Please paint it for us. What's the story?
Very well. I don't think that there will be a 1982 event. I don't think that there will be famine. I don't think that there will be food shortages. None of that. I think maybe at the time that it happened, we didn't have the predictive tools or the intelligence to be able to deal with the situation. Some of it at the time were compounded by drought and fires, which ravaged almost the whole country. We don't have that situation on our hands now, and we are not going to get there. All the things that we are talking about is not something except for the damage to the crops that has happened now, in terms of the impact on the market, will be more of end of September and October. And we are putting in steps now to deal with it. Because by now, even if the crops were doing well, they wouldn't have harvested it. So all the stock of grains that the farmers were living on, they still have something to live on until the first harvest. And that harvest is in September. And so we are saying that we need to have all the systems and support in country by the 20th to the end of September to take us through. So that is what we are planning against. And that is what gives me the confidence that we are not going to be in an 82, 83 kind of situation or a farm mine. I mean, that is really, nobody has even thought about that in this ministry.
Okay,
we are not going there.
But why are we talking about this now? Why are we talking about food shortage? We don't talk about this.
We don't have a food shortage now. We are projecting a food shortage if we don't do something now. And this is why.
So what's wrong? What is happening? What's going wrong?
This is why. We had some rains in June in the north. You know, Ghana, the southern sector, which is from Ashanti, eastern, western north, all the way central, Accra, we have two planting seasons. The major one from March to around June, and then the minor one, August to end of September, October. Two seasons in the south. Then from the north of the transition zone to the north, they only have one, the savannah, they only have one planting season. In fact, the savannah has one planting season. From July, end of June, by 15th of July, it is recommended that if you want to plant, 15th is the deadline. Okay, applications of fertilizer and all those things, 15th. If you don't plant, the rain schedule will affect you.
For the northern zone.
They only have one planting season. And that harvest comes on the market end of August, September. We call the early maize. If you go on Tamale market, by the end of August, you should be seeing the early maize, those who planted in early June. And then in September and October, the southern sector will feel the impact of the harvest from the north. Now, this is a case where those who planted late June, July, to 20th of August, there was not a single tot of rain.
Oh.
No rain. So the whole area is completely devastated. From Bono East, Oti, Savannah, Northern, Upper East, Upper West, everything is gone. Everything that was planted is destroyed.
It's dried.
It's gone.
And
granules, soya, maize, everything is flattened out.
And even if it rains now, they cannot be resuscitated.
So we had those that were planted in June, July, no rain can resuscitate it. But we had some rains 20th of August, and it's been raining since. In fact, yesterday it rained heavily in Tamale and its environs. Boko 3 days ago, it was crazy. So we are putting in investment to plant now. We have a short window of about 10, 12 days that if you want to plan to take advantage of the season. But we're also figuring out that the planting season has shifted for about a month as per Meteorological Agency prediction, that it has shifted. So we still have about some window of 10 days to plant to get something out of the north. So it is this drought, let me take it, it's not a drought, it's a near drought conditions or dry spell that has ravaged through the transitional zone all the way into the savannah. That we project that we are not going to get the harvest from the north. That feeds the country. Umaru, the northern farming season contributes 62% of our national grain supply.
Really? Not the south?
No.
So it means the north is very significant for our food stock.
I'm sure you coming from there, it's,
yeah,
that helps your ego.
So millets and all of those things.
Yes, millet,
the cereals,
soya, sorghum. If you go to Fumbisi Valley, you will think it's Vietnam.
The rice.
I'm telling you, the rice from those rice valleys, you will think it's Vietnam. If you go to the fields in the northern region, as far as your eyes can see, of maize, that is being produced. They contribute 62% between the transition zone and the savanna of our national grain supply. Now, from end September to the following year, January, February, that crop
That's what we depend on.
contributes about 85% of our maize supply, because the harvest from the southern sector is not much. The minor season of the southern sector. The major season, big. But the minor season, which is from now, August to September, end of the year, is not much compared to what is coming from the major season from the north. Okay, so
does this also include tubers, yam, for instance? So
yes,
yam was also affected.
Yes. A lot of yam. All the yams that, because of the heat, prolonged heat, all the yams that were in the ground have cooked in itself. You know, the groundnut is gone. All the roots and tubers devastated because of the long period of dry weather. Everything is cooked. It's a bad situation.
Let me try and understand a few things. So it means that, should we say we've lost that harvest, or we should say we've postponed the harvest, because now you have a 10-day window to plant anew? It means that if that works well, then we can get everything back.
No.
Or it doesn't work like that?
If, Omaru, you rented equipment to plow your land, you lost it. If you bought fertilizer, either from the input credit system or from your own private resources, it's lost.
Seedlings.
If you bought seedlings, it's lost. If you hired people to come and work on the farm for you,
wasted.
All that investment is gone. And we're talking about 3.5, 3.6 billion
of capital.
Gone, wiped out. That is the one that we have been able to take stock of. We are projecting that the loss of investment, if we're able to account or write off all the 980,000 farmers that we know from the transition zone to the north, we'll be looking at an investment loss of about 7.5 billion.
That is serious.
It's virtually wiped out.
Has livestock been affected too, or is it just crops?
Mostly crops. In fact, the farmers that we're talking to that are asking for an alternative livelihood support are looking for support in livestock to be able to take them through this period.
The harvest they had from last year, do they still have some? Okay, so the one that they would eat, do they have that?
You see, when they harvest, they keep enough to the next harvest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that is why we are saying that by the time the next harvest is in, if they don't have the food on the market that at least they can buy, then there'll be a problem. And that is what we are taking the actions now to ensure that.
If those who are going to feed us themselves do not have to eat, then the ripple effect is that nationally we are going to be affected. So our hope now is on this 10-day window that the rain would work some magic for us. Is that are we living on hope, or there's some scientific tool we are using to work?
We are not even counting what we will recover from that 10-day window.
Okay.
At this point, that's part of our planning. We've gotten to a point where hope is not a factor in the equation.
So then let's talk about plan.
There's no H in the equation as we have it, the quadratics as we have it. So the plan is quite simple. We consume about 2.5 million metric tons of maize per annum. Half year, August, we say that, look, we still have about 1.2 million metric tons to consume. We are going to put in a lot of investment in the southern sector, planting season, the minor season. And
that's which month? That's
about
August.
Now.
Okay.
And then the little that will come from the north as consumption to give us about 600,000 metric tons. So we're going to have a gap of 600,000 metric tons. Which gap we want to fill in 3 ways. One, last year we had a bumper harvest. The interventions that we put in the system worked. And that is why, if you remember, maize dropped from 350 all the way to about 150, 145, and farmers were complaining. We entered the market and made purchases to reduce the supply so that the prices can go up to the benefit of farmers, but also reasonable enough for consumers. So we have some stock. We also have what we call project stock. And project stocks are largely stocks that our projects, for example, we have SADEP. which gives inputs in the north, which we are doing with African Development Bank. When SADC gives you stock, you pay back in crops. And we have quite some stocks in our warehouses. So we're going to release this one on the market.
So the first one is what you bought last year from the market,
yes,
which you have in your warehouses.
Yes.
The second one is a SADC.
Yes.
So that's also like also a fallback.
So let's say the government stock.
Okay.
We're going to put back on the
market.
Okay. 2, we contribute into the ECOWAS grain reserve.
Okay. We have something like that.
Yes, there's an ECOWAS grain reserve for maize, rice, and things.
Maize where? In Accra?
We have one in Ghana.
Okay.
We have one which is controlled by buffer stock.
Okay.
Okay. The one Ghana manages is managed by buffer stock. So that grain reserve, we're going to tap into it. The gap is what we intend to bring in. Okay.
So we're looking at 600,000.
Yes.
That's what you're working at getting.
Yes.
Okay.
So which gap we are sure that if we commit to importing about 300,000 metric tons in on the government side, we should be able to scale.
So the third leg is imports.
We're going to bring it in.
Okay, so the first leg is we are relying on our warehouse.
Yes.
The second is the West Africa
ECOWAS grain reserve.
And the third one is import.
Yes.
From where?
Well, we've met with we want to deal with it at the bilateral level. So we're talking to country level. I mean, if for example I sit here and countries write to me looking for specific products, and we're able to lead them to some suppliers to give to. So that's what we're doing.
So you do the same reciprocation.
Exactly. We're talking to countries to get us.
But this is just maize. What about the other crops?
So we're looking at maize and rice mainly. I mean, rice we consume 1.4 million, 1.5 million metric tons. So that one, those are the 2 that we intend to bring in. Now we have our eyes on in Upper East, the millet in the valleys were not that affected because they are in a way drought resistant. So that is doing well. Every day I get reports of the conditions there. So at least we know that we can rely on the millet and the sorghum that is coming out of the upper. In fact, the worst affected is northern region.
Okay.
The least affected is Upper East.
Upper East. Okay.
When I say northern region, I'm talking about northern region with the capital Tamale.
Okay.
Not the northern regions.
I mean, okay, I get that.
Yes.
So okay. Question: do we currently export rice and maize either at the national level or at the private level? What's the plan with that? If we do,
there's a lot of maize that leaves our borders on a daily basis.
So are we stopping that export?
Immediately.
So is a ban on
immediately? You answered yesterday. And in fact, the security people we've been working way before yesterday, but there's a total ban on the export of our grains. I mean, a lot of our grains go to as far as Nigeria, Benin, all are in the ECOWAS sub-region. They take a lot of grains informally, from our markets. They come as deep as Techiman market, Jatokrom, Kintampo, Techiman, to come and buy our grains, mop up all what we have in the upper regions for the sub-region. For now, we need it for ourselves, and so we've put a temporal ban. And it's not unusual. Côte d'Ivoire put a ban January this year. They banned the export of grains. Burkina did the same. Nigeria did the same. So it's not something that is unusual in the times that we're in.
If a farmer in Gushewu has a contract with someone in Togo or Benin to supply them corn or maize, and they've been doing this, now you have suddenly announced this ban, what are you going to say to this farmer? Is it blanket ban, or there's a support you're going to give to this farmer to deal with their other contractor abroad?
Look, this is a force majeure situation which is allowed in contracts. Okay? If, for example, the farmer's farm bent, or there's drought in this case, there will be no crop to fulfill the contract. We, as a nation, we are providing the conducive environment for that farm to thrive. We are in a situation where we have to eat. And so if you have a contract and you cannot take the grain, if you have enough grains, we want to be able to buy that and put on the market.
Would we give the person the same value they would get if they sent it to Nigeria?
They lose nothing. They lose nothing. So, but in fact, most of the time, our prices are even better than what they what they are selling out
abroad.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My name is Umaru Sandaman. My guest is the Honorable Bryan Acheampong. He's Minister for Agriculture. He's also a Member of Parliament for Abetifi. He's just painted a picture for us. But we also do know that the Bagri Dam, it was spilled. Loss of water in northern Ghana, not northern region, but northern Ghana, causing devastation. How come that water is not helping our crops? Secondly, this is a government that promised one village, one dam. Where are the dams? Why are they not helpful at this time of drought? Please stay with us. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face. My name is Umaru Sandaman. My guest is the Minister for Food and Agriculture, the Honorable Bryan Acheampong. So you've told us the general picture in the northern part of the country. We are expecting something, even though we are not necessarily banking your hopes on this latter days rain that is coming, but it could also bring in some more and then possibly help us. So you outline for us what the plan to deal with the measure is. And you've also assured us that there isn't famine and there isn't going to be famine, at least based on all the calculations. But talking about calculations, the Meteorological Agency and yourselves, what have been the arrangements and discussions? Because if there was a prior discussion, technically you would have been advised, so that you also advise your farmers that this year, let's not plant early, let's plant later. What happened? What happened with the communication of that?
Well, thank you, Maru. Metro did indeed put up their advice. They did. And we tried to push that advice also to the field. But I think it was underestimated because Metro put out these advices quite often. And a lot of our farmers ignored their advice. I think it should have been sort of a red warning in the front pages of the graphic, or some aggressive communication for farmers.
So it was not taken seriously?
More like it.
But did Meteo say that don't plant in July this year, wait and plant in September, for instance, or in August?
They predicted that there will be a dry spell.
Okay.
And they predicted that there will be a long dry spell. That in itself sometimes can be lost in translation. The true meaning and the true effect of it. That is really what happened. Okay.
As Minister for Agric and Minister for Agriculture, you speak with your other ministers across the world. We know of the SDG, we know of climate change. What does this teach us and what are we doing about it? Because this was unexpected, but it's a climate change which we can't really...
Yeah.
People are predicting things, but it's going so fast. Mm-hmm. What have we learned from this? What measures have we put in place to prevent this in the future?
One big thing that we have learned is that the cropping season has shifted by a month.
For this year or forever?
Last year, there was a shift, but this year, all the data for the last 5 years confirms. And that is why by now, in the southern sector, August, farmers should have planted. But to check the weather, looks cloudy, but it will not rain. Yesterday, same, it will not. Typical of August. But it's been, in August, you will get some rains. But now, very, very cloudy. People, think that, and you don't get the rains. They just don't come.
August is ending.
And August is ending. So, but Meteo is now telling us that the planting should happen around 1st of September, which communication we are now pushing through the southern sector. Meteo is also advising that the rain, they are the ones that are telling us that this is a window to plant up north. And we validated that data with other meteorological agencies, so we know. But now what we are doing is on the Ghana Agriculture and Agribusiness platform, the farmers that are registering have an account. And on that account, we are going to now push the messages directly in the way that you are saying is, this is your window to plant. This is your window to apply fertilizer.
So reduce the communication
to
simple language.
To instructions. Okay? Reduce the notice to instructions. If you are in the southern sector, planting is Monday to Thursday. Fertilizer is this to this. Okay, reduce the communication to instructions. But we can only do that when the relationship is formalized. That we know you, we know where you farm, we know the size of your farm, we know the inputs that you've applied for that you are going to plant, we know the yield, we know the harvest.
So you talk to me directly?
Talk to you directly. And that is what the Ghana Agriculture and Agribusiness Platform is doing. Now 550,000 farmers have registered on it.
Okay.
So yesterday we met with Meteorological Agency, and we are putting the codes in such a way that farmers can understand. We are also going to do text messages and voice notes to farmers so that they get their instructions depending on the zone that they are in. So this is where we are going with the predictive tools. As a ministry, we have to support the meteorological agencies to be able to deliver the service to us and our farmers. And so we have bought them automatic weather stations. I think so far we've procured for them 34. Under SADEP we bought about 14, and just last month we've procured 20 automatic weather stations. We need to buy more for them so that we can have accurate and what they term microclimate. There's a climate which is a bigger area, and there's weather much smaller area, but they have microclimate data, as they call it, that they're able to share with us, and we are able to program it and release it to farmers so that they can get the instructions on when to act and how to act.
Well, your government promised each district in this country is going to have a warehouse. It was for
that's your government. Our government.
The government you are a member of, which
our government.
Okay. The government of Ghana.
Yes.
Which has the NPP umbrella Elephant Party as a lead, promised that you're going to give us a factory in each district to prevent things like this, or for days like
dam.
this. No, we'll talk about it now. I want us to do the factory first, so that not factory, warehouse, sorry, so that you store food in anticipation of whatever may happen. What happened with those warehouses? Because if we had them working and running, then we shouldn't be worried.
You see, there's always an interpretation of an idea. What were the warehouses supposed to do? We put up 80 warehouses, 69 of them complete. But these are 1,000 metric ton warehouses.
Small or big?
1,000 metric ton.
Does it mean it's very small or very big? That's what I
1,000
mean.
metric ton is about maybe 8 times the size of this room.
So like 5 40-footer containers, something around that.
Yes, 1,000 metric tons. And
so my question is that very small or very big?
It's small, and
small.
I will put it in context in a minute.
Continue.
Those warehouses are indeed what I call transit warehouses. If you want to store grains for a long period of time, and release them as buffer stock, or release them as in times like this, then you are looking at silos. So the intention at the time was to provide these transit points where you can bring your grain, it can be dried, and it can be stored for you until you take it to the market.
So it was not that government was going to buy and put in those warehouses?
So it wasn't that government were building strategic silos to store grains for 5 years, 10 years. No.
That's not what the one district, one warehouse meant.
No. Was to find a place where people in a community can aggregate their crops. And most of the time, to store maize, the moisture content is very important. So in a warehouse, we put in a dryer. So you bring your grain, it's dried, and it is weighed, and it is stored for you until you can bring it on the market. Which period we are looking at about a week, a month? Nobody has stored their grains in the warehouses for more than 1 month, information that I have collected.
So that's why these warehouses, even if there are 69 of them, did not serve our purpose for this long-term purpose.
Now I'm coming to context. 69, let's say 80 of the warehouses, that makes it 80,000 metric tons. Even if we are to fill the entire warehouses, every window closed and we are filling it, we're talking about 80,000 metric tons. We consume 2.5 million metric tons of maize. We consume 1.4 million metric tons of rice.
Annually?
Yes, between soya, sorghum, millet, about 1.5 million, and cowpea.
So the capacity is not there.
So if you, for the sake of our calculations, since I told you we're not good in math in school.
Oh, why have you gone to dig on my background? Mm-hmm. I'm the one who's supposed to dig on your background. What kind of thing?
Let's put it at 5 million metric tons. Mm-hmm. The investment that we are talking about is 80,000 metric tons. In Ghana, the entire installed capacity of warehouses, including private sector warehouses for food, not for cocoa, is about 250,000 metric tons. The entire installed capacity, every hole for food storage that we can put food in this country, is about 250,000 metric tons. That is what you and I are seeing now.
So why haven't we, if we know this, why haven't we built bigger silos and not warehouses when we realize that, no,
you see,
this is a bigger challenge than what we are?
We came to meet a situation, and we have to manage the situation and get to a certain point.
Okay.
So you realize that as we speak now, we have awarded a contract, $60 million contract, okay, to build, it's a $70 million or so million contract, to build a 60,000 metric ton silo.
Single?
Yes.
To be based where?
For Kwewu East. And that is also where I come from.
I know. I was going to ask if it's a conflict of interest situation.
Which conflict of interest? Amaru and these kinds of things.
What conflict?
It's in Ghana.
It's your area.
But I'm saying in Ghana, and the reason is that we have put in a lot of irrigation now in our farmlands. Ataniata, Kunedu, Atonsu, Acheampong, Secha farmlands. We've commenced the construction of a huge irrigation scheme that is going to give us an irrigable area of about 3,500 hectares. The grains that is going to come from this area has to be stored in a strategic reserve, and therefore we need to put it at a place that is conducive. And our people found.
And is this silo ready? Has it started?
We just commenced construction of that silo.
And it will finish when?
Maybe in about 12 months.
Okay.
But Umaru, what we are now moving into is to put up 100,000 metric ton silo in the different regions.
Okay.
So Eastern region gets 100,000 metric ton grain silo where you can keep about 3 or 4 grains. We put in Ashanti, we put in Tamale, but I'm telling you, 60,000 is costing about 70 million. So let's assume that every 100,000 metric ton silo is going to cost us, let's say, $100 million. Okay. The 16 regions is going to cost us 1.6 billion.
So it's not something we don't have money readily. So it's a step by step.
But exactly.
Okay.
But we've started.
Very well. Let me move you to another thing. You also promised your government, one village, one dam. And the idea was to irrigate farms so that we shouldn't be having challenges with drought in an Akufo-Addo government, which promised that all villages in the north will have dams where they can fetch water and irrigate, or there will be some mechanized way of irrigating. What happened with those dams?
You see, when the political pundits ask these questions and the propagandists, I don't have any problem with it. But sometimes when anybody other than that asks me the question, I get worried.
Just say the shade is here. So say,
no, I'm not shading you.
So say when Omar and I'll respond. Go ahead.
Omar, you see, I get worried.
Why?
Same explanation that I gave you on the warehouses, on the intent and purpose. The same reasoning applies to the dams. Umaru, you come from the north. You know that there's a big difference between a dam and an irrigation scheme.
Good.
An irrigation scheme takes water from a large river body, and puts it into a dam.
Bon irrigation development projects.
Yes. Bon takes water from the Volta Lake into the irrigation scheme.
Yeah, in Asuchari and Akuse.
Wonderful. Tamni, Tono, Botanga, Via. Those irrigation schemes. And all the small irrigation schemes that we are doing in the north. Irrigation schemes.
Okay. Mechanized.
Yes. Irrigation schemes at all times takes water from a large river body into a dam for the irrigable area farmers to consume.
Okay.
What we sought to do under the one village, one dam is to build these dams, dugouts, to harvest and collect rainwater.
For what use?
For farming. Hold on. For farming. So it was the water that was coming into those dams were not from the irrigation schemes, was to harvest. When it rains in Tamale, where you and I are very familiar, you see how it causes quick flooding, and then it resides, the water goes away. So the idea was that, why don't we collect some of this rainwater, okay, keep it for maybe a week, a month, so that the farmers in that area, about 15 hectares, can use that water. So if the dams were to collect rainwater, this is a case where there was no rain.
Okay, this is a question. The dam, as I know it, which is a dugout, which I've used in the southern part, collects water. It's a big place that has a bulldozer heap, sand or clay or whatever. That water is collected for the consumption of cattle, which go there to drink. And farmers around that area go with buckets, gallons, fetch the water to go and, irrigate their pepper and maize. This is a picture I know of these dugouts that you are planning. The same thing could happen up north if you had done the dugouts, where people can use receptacles to go and collect the water to feed their farms and feed their livestock.
But that is what we did.
So how come it has failed us now? Because I don't know. The dugout I know doesn't collect water for just a few months. It takes water for over a year.
No.
It does. No, even in the driest of seasons, all the dugouts I know in my village have water.
Oh, Maru.
Yes.
What is the source of the water in the dugout?
Rain.
Exactly.
Yes. By rain last year, that's what I'm saying.
No, but please, we're talking about 574 dugouts. Not all of them can store water for a year round. And the irrigable area for one dugout is about 15 hectares.
But then that's a failure of the dugout.
No, what is a failure?
The failure of the dugout is that if you cannot sustain water or collect water for a year, then what's the purpose? Because it means that it's just collecting as it goes. But I'm saying to you that the dugout I know.
Umaru, what is a failure? Please.
I'm saying that it's a failure of the dugout. It has not served the purpose for which it was dug.
Who put this word in the mouth of journalists and people? What is a failure?
A failure is a failure. It's non-delivery of a specific task.
No.
That's what it is. It's a failure.
But I'm telling you that when we constructed the dams, we didn't construct it to hold water for more than 2 months.
And then that's a failed plan. That's what I'm saying.
No, it is not a failed plan.
Tell me why.
That was the plan. If for some reason some of the dams have been able to hold water for more than 2 months, it's a plus and not a failure.
No, it should not be a plus.
No, but I'm saying. So you see, you have created these things in your mind that this is a failure and therefore it is not a failure. It's actually a very successful intervention. Okay, 15 hectares irrigable area around a dugout, taking water from rain, holding it long enough.
Only for 2 months.
No, but I'm saying holding it long enough for farmers around that around that dam can crop. If you were saying that the dugouts don't exist, then I would have had a challenge because I have taken stock of 574 of them. So it exists and it's serving its purpose. Umaru, what we need is all year round farming. Which farming can happen when we have irrigation schemes, because we have big water bodies that we have to put in the investment to extract water into some of these dugouts, okay, especially in Afram Plains, especially in the north.
Minister,
we have to invest in these irrigation schemes, but don't be fixated on that a dugout which is that has contained water for 2-3 months and some of them for a year is a success or a failure.
Minister,
please.
My point to you is that you know a problem, which solution you are providing, and if your solution is a half solution to the problem, that's not a solution at all.
It is not half
my
solution.
My point to you is that if you have a dam in Tumu, that dam should supply water to the farmers in that enclave for the whole year until the rains come next year. But if the dugout is serving for only a few months, then what's the point? You should be able to water the plants and also feed them.
There's no scientific basis to the question.
I'm speaking practically to what I have lived.
You don't know this country more than I do.
Okay.
You don't know this country more than I do.
I'm not going to challenge you.
Yes. So but it is. We are not talking about a concrete reason. Even Ghana water reservoirs, okay, that feeds the people water. We have to bring water into it. Ghana water reservoirs. So when you are talking about a dugout, not concrete dugouts, that whose source of water is rain.
Which evaporates.
Exactly.
Which sinks into the clay.
Absolutely.
Yes, but still lasts 1 year in my area.
But I'm saying it depends on the soil condition in your area.
So plan. Work with what you have.
Please. A part of the planning is what you have in your area. Other areas cannot sustain that length of
So means we have to take a break. But my point to you is that one village, one dam was supposed to help with farming. If one village, one dam is there and farming...
What is farming? Do you know what farming is?
I mean crop farming and
farming.
Cattle farming. That's what I mean. Not starvation. So if we are having the drought and the village dams are not helping, then it's a failure. For me, that's my point.
No.
But you're free to respond to that.
Let me respond before you go on a break. The village dams are helping, okay? It's been a cycle of a year.
Okay.
It's been one cycle. It's gone one, and that is the tail end of it for the rains to start. The dams have been successful. We had a bumper harvest last year from the use of these dams, and we're expecting to have the same bumper harvest until the dry spell.
This is face to face. When we come back, I'll ask him one last issue about the spillage of water from the Bagre Dam and how that's not helping us. Please stay. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My guest is the Minister for Food and Agriculture. Honorable Minister, how come the water from Burkina Faso is not helping our farmers in the northern part? We're hearing of a possible flood situation because of the opening of the Bagre Dam. All water do water, or?
Well, it's helping. The white Volta is taking the water well. You see, the spillage from Bagre, if managed well, does not affect us because our rivers are able to contain it. It is when they have excessive rain and they have to now open full throttle, that is when we have these overflows. They spilled from the 19th of August, and so far it is not that bad because we are in touch with them to help us, not opening the dam full throttle. And they are also not getting that much rains either. So it's not like there's a lot to spill. If they open full throttle, our farmers along the banks of the river will suffer. So far, spillage is ongoing, but it's not really affecting us the way in the past it's caused havoc. There's a lot of farming going on the banks of the Volta. The
white and black.
Yes, there's a lot of farming going on around there. There's a lot of micro irrigation, farmers tapping water from the river. In fact, we are even giving farmers pumps. We are buying and distributing pumps to give to farmers to tap water into their farms. So we are monitoring the situation. We are hoping that the way they are going about it will continue so that we don't have such a huge challenge.
If I'm a farmer in the north, I plowed my farm 2 months ago and planted. The seeds are all underground or they've been baked. Now that I'm expecting rain in a few days, I want to also plant again to help the nation. Would the ministry do free plowing for me? Are you going to give me free fertilizer, free inputs? Because I've already spent all that capital. I don't have money. It's 7.9 billion. That's how much you mentioned. What support physically and financially are you going to give to them in the north for those who want to go back into the...
But I think I covered that in the first half of the interview. But for emphasis, I'd like to say it again. First of all, based on the size of your farm, we're going to give you the grant inputs that you require if you want to plant. Now, not everybody can plant their choice of crop because for rice, I think the time is way past.
Okay.
So cowpea will do well. and then some early maturing maize will also do well. So we're going to give them these seeds, give them these agrochemicals and fertilizers so that they can plant. And that will be on a grant basis. We've costed it and we know how much.
Would we plow for them too?
I'm not too sure that we, at this point, we have the capacity to mobilize the AMSECs to plow for over 1 million farmers.
But land preparation is necessary.
But I'm saying that most of them did prepare their land. Some of them are suffering weeds and things like that. I'm sure that farmers are able to manage without the intervention of government. What they may not be able to manage is a seed cost and the fertilizer cost. That we are sure, and that intervention we will make.
I want you to look into the camera and speak to Ghanaian market women and men who go to bring foodstuffs, to the consumer at home who is hopeful that they'll have dinner tonight, and to the farmers. What is the narrative that you are sending across?
But Umar, I think it's clear.
I'm talking about in terms of farming. I don't want that to be pushed out there. So what do you say to people?
I can look you in the eyes.
Okay, fine. On behalf of Ghanaians, I'm looking at you.
That everything that we are saying now is a situation that we have picked. Is an asteroid in the way, but we have been able to put in systems that will allow for us to deal with it. So, deal with food shortage. We've planned, we've programmed, and there'll be food on the market.
So we are safe.
We don't have any problem there.
People should not run to the market to go and stock up.
We've not gotten there.
I shouldn't go and buy plantain things and keep in my...
We have not gotten there. We will not get there.
No stocking of food.
I'm saying that when the food stock comes in, there's 100% chance that the prices of food would even go down.
Are you sure?
100%. I'm saying.
But right now there will be increases because of the shortage.
I'm saying that you are talking about a run on food, and I'm saying we will not get there as a country. We are taking steps to ensure that September, October, there's enough grains on the market. We are sure of that. As we speak, we have 85,000 metric tons of maize on the seas. Of rice. On the seats.
Coming.
Yes. Okay. So we will not get there.
Okay. Hand on heart. No.
I can put my hand on any part of my body. I'm saying that we will not get there.
No rationing.
No.
Okay.
Number two is the farmer that has lost an investment, the farmer that has lost food, the farmer that has lost revenue. The measures that we have announced in terms of ensuring that they get their inputs for replanting, in terms of getting food grants and getting the cash grants of 1,000, we will make sure that we'll have the systems to deliver it to the farmers without fail, that they can continue to support our country's food systems.
We have to go, but they were tipping you for running mates, but the thing went to Mensha South. I bet what happened?
Well, I think it went to a great candidate, and we're happy with him. We support the decision of Dr. Bawumia, and we are moving on with that decision without it.
Problem no day.
Oh.
No friction, nothing.
From where?
From Abetifi.
No.
The Abetifi people are happy.
100%.
They are very sure.
I'm saying that Abetifi people are happy, Kweus are happy.
The Kweu traditional area is happy.
Ghanaians are happy.
Okay. Are you sure?
100%.
Very well. The next issue that I wanted to ask is, we are not far from the sea, and your ministry is not far from the sea. You are planning to bend the sea. I hope that thing you have calmed down on it.
Which one?
The bending the sea thing about the election. Is the election? Are we safe? Everything is fine.
How come all of a sudden I can't hear you? But I can tell you that. Look, it's going to be a very, very peaceful elections. There's absolutely nothing for anybody to worry about in terms of the peace and security.
No, I was so West Wagon kind of thing.
No. Where kind of thing means for that somebody will invite violence and somebody will apply violence. I don't see that.
It won't happen.
I think Ghana has moved on from that kind of mindset. You know, I don't really. We have 39,000 polling stations, Mario. 39,000 polling stations. What are you going to do where? You know, so those kinds of things that used to be part of our electoral culture, I think Ghanaians have moved past that, and we're going to have nothing but a very, very peaceful.
But it's going to be a very hard election for you as a party, isn't it?
breaking the 8.
Yeah.
If it was going to be easy, we wouldn't prefix it with breaking. Do you understand? So breaking everything
is hard work.
It's hard work, and that is why
on course?
I was surprised when Sunday Dr. Baumia did his manifesto in Takrady, and Monday morning 8 a.m. he was in Oda campaigning. So
cool.
I'm telling you.
Thank you so much, Minister, for speaking to us. That's the Honourable Member of Parliament for Abetifi and Minister for Food and Agriculture, Bryan Acheampong, speaking to us. This has been Face to Face. My name is Umaru Sandamado. Thank you for watching.